Hello there, friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. But it's not just Wednesday Whimsy this week. It is time for everyone's favorite show within a show, Quarterly Quountdown. Woo! Quarterly Quountdown is, of course, the short episode of Wednesday Whimsy that I do at the end of every quarter, calendar quarter, where I talk about the top 5 best new-to-me board games that I experienced during that quarter. These are not always necessarily new. Also, if it's Wednesday Whimsy, if you're not aware, is the short show that I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game, a top 10 list, or some board game-related topic, whatever happens to be on my mind at that time. Anyway, that's our introduction. So we'll keep this one short. We've got kind of a storm going on here, so hopefully it won't get too loud. I'm just going to tell you about the top 5 new-to-me games that I played in the last 3 months. This is going to be July, August, and September 2024. Looking at what I've chosen, one of them was not new during the quarter, but I got to play it for the first time. In fact, several of them, it looks like this time around. One of them is two of them are brand new that just came out. One of them just barely came out in the U.S., and the other two, I think, have been out for a little while. When I look at it, one of them especially, I just barely got played after having it in my closet for several years. Anyway, more on that in a moment. Let's jump in with number 5. All right, my number 5 is a game that I really knew nothing about. I knew nothing at all coming into it. I only purchased it through GameFound because it was Portal, and Portal, although they've been on my naughty list a little lately, especially for how they run their crowdfunding campaigns, for the most part, I like what they're trying to do, and I am always curious to see what they're offering. This game is Thorgal. Now, Thorgal, I mean, even the name sounds kind of silly. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. Hold on. There we go. Screen. Here we go. Thorgal. So, Thorgal is a weird game. It's based on some comic, I think a French comic from the 70s, that I have no experience with. And in it, it's kind of a story adventure game, but it's not a campaign. And in it, you are going to be characters, and you're trying to accomplish some sort of a goal. I've only played the first scenario, but I played it a few times because the first couple of times I was still learning the game and I lost. And eventually you kind of figure out what you have to do. But in this game, you're going to have these 4 action discs, and you'll place them under a new action card each time. You can later upgrade these action cards to make them better, to make things more efficient. And you're trying to go through this story. Eventually, you'll unlock certain bonuses and certain story elements. For example, whenever you defeat this thing, it looks like you get this bonus. Whenever you take care of this, which is one of these mystic enemies, you're going to get some sort of a bonus down here, which will come from the book and probably also get rid of some of your threat. It's just various things, and you're trying to figure out sort of your way through the story. One of the more interesting aspects of the game is how it incorporates polyominoes. These are the polyomino dice, and they're what you're going to be using largely when you attack. Ultimately, when you attack something, you're going to flip over. Well, this is a personal health spot. You're going to flip over a card, and you're trying to cover. This is an adventure card. Anyway, you're trying to cover certain spots on that card. And if you do so, you defeat the enemy. You're also going to get bonuses. You're trying to explore the wilderness and cover stuff up as well. There are good and bad bonuses, and they all come from these polyominoes that you're going to be placing out. Also, when you take wounds, you're going to put some on a little sort of indented space in your board. And when you can't place anything anymore, well, that's when you die. So it's a really interesting concept here. It's not like anything else. It's a good game. I'm impressed by Thorgal. I'm really looking forward to trying it again. Again, I have some concerns with how this company runs its crowdfunding. You really have to pay attention to all the updates if you want things. Um, but regardless, the base game of Thorgal is really fun. It's a fresh take and one of the 5 best games I played this quarter. Let's go on now to my number 4. My number 4, I think, came out a little bit before the quarter. I just don't know. This is one I played at the Dice Tower retreat, and I have been really loving Primal lately because Primal is fantastic, a fantastic boss battling game. Primal, however, is not for the faint of heart. This game, that my number 4 new to me game this quarter, is for really anyone. It's a very accessible boss battler game, and that is called Leviathan Wilds. So Leviathan Wilds, you are some climbers who are going around trying to fight this big boss. The boss is going to have certain dice on it, and when you can use actions to take out these dice, and by doing so, that's how you're going to reduce the boss's health and eventually, hopefully, win. Each of the climbers is a little bit different. Each of the bosses is a little bit different, and there's something like 17 or 18 bosses in the book. There's a new expansion that's just been announced on GameFound. You're trying to manage a variety of resources, including your hand, your deck. When your deck is empty, you lose your grip and you fall immediately. And then also a combination of, I think this is called Taint, and your health, trying to keep those markers as far apart as possible. If you're able to knock out all the dice on this creature, you win. Otherwise, when somebody dies, the other players have one more turn, and they win. The rules of this are really simple. Each different boss has its own separate kind of set of rules, but it's usually on a card or two, so there's not a whole lot that you're learning. The game looks great. It's easy to play. It's light on rules. I will say I wish the rule book had been a little bit more clear in a couple of aspects, but on the whole, I was able to figure it out, had a great time with it, and I'm really looking forward to trying it again. I don't think it'll, top Primal, which I think is one of the best games ever, but this one is really good and one I really enjoyed. Honestly, it almost reminds me of Mall Peak or Skulk Hollow, those sort of combined boss battle games, although those ones are one-on-one or one-on-many, whereas this one is everybody against a big boss in the game. But anyway, regardless, this is a great game, one I really enjoyed and was very impressed with, Leviathan Wilds. Let's go on now to number 3. Number 3 is a game that came out last year. I heard about it last year. The Dice Tower people were talking about it, but it was not easy to find. This game had very poor distribution. In fact, it still has very poor distribution. But it is a ridiculous combination, a hybrid of rock, paper, scissors, and tic-tac-toe, and that game is rubber, paper, scissors. So in rubber, paper, scissors, you are trying to get the most points, and you're going to sort of play through this suspiciously tic-tac-toe-like board. And each square is going to have 2 tokens in it, one face up and one face down. You're going to play a round of rubber, paper, scissors, which is a lot like rock, paper, scissors, except you say rubber instead of rock. And and whoever wins gets to choose first whether they want the face-up token, the face-down token, or to put one of their markers in that space. The player who lost gets one of the other 2 remaining choices, and the winner gets the 3rd choice. So if you win, it's always better, but if you lose, you're always still at least getting something. You don't win by getting 3 in a row, but you do get a lot of points. You get 3 points by getting 3 in a row, which is actually a lot in this game. Usually scores range from 12 to 15, so 3 can be quite a lot. You can also win by collecting these Golden Crown Binder Clip of Destiny tokens. There are 3 of them. They might not all be in the game, though, so it's not a guaranteed victory. even if you have two. But if you do end up getting all three, then the game ends and you immediately win. Either way, this game is delightfully short, fast, it's surprisingly tense for a game this stupid. The theme is, not really there, but I think that the game mechanisms really come together and make this one something special and memorable. And it's of the new games on my list, definitely the one I've played the most this quarter. Sorry, second most. There's another new game that I played more, but it's not going to be on this list. So anyway, that is my number 3. Oops, rubber, paper, scissors. There we have it. Let's go on now to number 2. All right, so rubber, paper, scissors is a small game. The next game I'm talking about is not small at all. This is an exciting new take on an old game that arrived this quarter. In fact, I'd even forgotten that I had ordered it through Kickstarter or Game Founder, whichever one it was on, and it just sort of showed up and surprised me. But this is Andromeda's Edge. This is a reworking of Legends of Eldervale, not Everdell, and it's great. It's honestly, if you already know how to play Dwellings, you'll know how to play this one in just a few minutes. There's a few rules that are a little bit different, but not that much. It is, however, a more, I guess, it's a better tooled experience. The game length is more appropriate. There's a little bit more flexibility in what you're doing. The way that you acquire technologies to kind of build your engine is a little bit more balanced and less swingy. So this one is really a good implementation, and if you haven't played Dwellings, this one is a very good place to start. Now, it doesn't have those cool minis. It does, however, have these alien raiders, which also look great, but this is just a fantastic game. Now, it has a solo, and I will say the solo felt a little messy at times, but as a 2 or 3 player game, this one is fantastic. I found that I really enjoyed my plays of this. It is extremely big. It takes up a lot of space. The box is huge. It barely fits that back in there, even with the sort of specialty design trays and inserts. It barely fits in the box, so just be aware of that. But I had a lot of fun with this, both solo and with other people, and especially with other people. It's a longer experience, but you're going to be able to upgrade yourself to sort of take your own path to victory however you want, build your engine and run it several times before the game ends. It's one of those games where you're sort of either placing a worker out and doing an action, or pulling back all your workers, and then you're going to be activating all of the bonuses that you have built for yourself. So a lot to love here. That is my number 2, Andromeda's Edge. Also, I don't have to confuse it with another game all the time because the names are different enough from other things. Anyway, that's it for my number 2. Let's go on to my number 1. All right, my number 1 is an older game, and by older I mean a few years, but it's one I talked about that I played at the retreat for the first time, and then I played it again last Saturday. This game is just so exciting, and I'm so glad that it's, on my shelf and on my table, and that is The Great Wall. The Great Wall is just so fun. It is a worker placement game and a semi-cooperative game, but it does those things differently than other games of its ilk. This is the Meeple version. I have minis in mind, but that doesn't matter. You are ultimately trying to build the Great Wall and keep out a horde of invaders. You're going to be working together toward that goal with your fellow players, but your ultimate goal is to have the most points. You're also going to have a general that has swingy special abilities that make it feel different and separate from all of the other characters. Looks like they're playing with the expansion here, which I'd really like to try. There's just so much to like here. The rules, there's a lot of rules, and they're not really presented in a way that I think I'm showing the game. I'm clearly not. There are The rules are a rough ride, and it's a rough teach, and there's a lot to forget and a lot to keep track of. But once you have it down, this game is just going to be one that you're going to really enjoy. It looks great all set up on the table. This is somebody's 3D printed version of the towers and walls, which I also have. I bought it came with these cardboard ones, which are fine, but the 3D printed ones are nicer. It's a big game. The theme is really there as you're trying to sort of fight back these hordes of invaders and just barely make it each time. But you're working together. You just want to make sure you are working together a little bit more so that you have the advantage when the time comes. Great game. Wonderful discovery. One I'm going to look forward to playing a lot in the future and might even make my top 100 the next time I do it. It's my number one game of the quarter, The Great Wall. Came out in 2021, it looks like. And that is it. That's what we've got for you this week. It has, as you can hear, I don't know if you can hear the rain. We're experiencing the precursor to a hurricane that's happening in Florida. So, it's a little bit loud tonight, but it's been a great quarter with games. I got to go to Gen Con. I got to go to the Dice Tower Retreat, and both of those are great opportunities to try new things. I also just got a lot of new games and tried many, got some Kickstarters in and lots of other things. There are lots of good games coming out. I'm looking forward to doing this again at the end of December, the quarterly Quountdown for Q4 2024. But for now, we're going to end it. I hope you'll go out and play lots of great games. And until then, I'm going to wish you safe travels, courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again next week on another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.